This is your first chance to really show what you have created. When you get to session one, I believe, should be one of, if not your most planned out session, period.
You will thank yourself later.
Oh.
Right? Because now your character has stopped being an idea, and now it's a real person a fake person in a fake place, but it's actually fake there, as opposed to just an idea.
It's really fake there.
If you have a catchphrase for your character, you must say it. Well, no, you must, but it's a great chance to make that impact.
Believe it.
Believe it. And then, because then the next time you say it, people are like, oh, that wasn't just a thing that they said. Right. Now it's a catchphrase.
Yeah.
Don't believe it.
Yeah, that's a great way to end that.
You caught me in the middle of something there.
Wow. Wow. That was interesting.
Yeah.
And amazing.
Bathroom time.
You too. Oh, bathroom time. I was going to say, oh, you're trying something new?
It's like Zumba, but Asian.
Bathroom time is the new Asian Zumba?
I don't know, dude.
Was that a good clarification and recap of what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's amazing.
Before it gets too awkward, though, how about you...
Before it gets too awkward. Sure.
Even more awkward.
Sure. Oh, wow, this is a big one. Attention. Read out loud exactly what is written on this note, or be destroyed and replaced.
Okay.
Welcome to Caffeine and Cantrips, the show where we talk about D&D or else. We've got a special message going out to everybody starting up
so special.
A new campaign. Other people trying new things too.
Good.
Today's episode,
Asian Zumba campaigns.
Today's episode, Sean, is dedicated to all the fresh meat ready for their emotional grinders. From the Dungeon Master to you, we say a toast.
Oh, tasty.
We weren't supplied with drinks here, so I guess we're a dry toast.
Yeah.
Very dry.
Crusty.
Dear adventurers, in the realms of Dungeons and of Dragons, we embark on a wondrous journey. Together, as heroes with unique abilities, we face trials in mystical forests, treacherous dungeons, and astride magnificent beasts. Oh, that was good. That's how you astride a magnificent beast. Our path is marked by challenges, but also by triumphs that will weave tales into the rich tapestry of your D&D history. As we encounter adversaries and setbacks, let us stand united, drawing strength from our camaraderie. In this realm where imagination knows no bounds, we hold the power to shape our destiny. Marshals, magicians, and experts, our choices and actions reverberate through this fantastical world. With the roll of the dice, may fortune smile upon us, leading us to greatness and ensuring our stories become legendary. Let our adventures inspire future generations to embrace the magic of Dungeons and of Dragons. Welcome to your story.
Welcome back to yet another episode of Caffeine and Cantrips. Right?
A very important one, actually.
Yeah.
I think based on the topic.
Well, when it comes to if you gotta rank them in an episode, how important do you think they'll be out of the 20?
It'll be in the top 25 for sure.
For sure.
For sure.
I think maybe one under session 0.
Yeah?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
We'll see. No, it's actually arguable if it's more important than just session 0 or not. But yes, like in the intro, we... Shintro.
That's another Asian thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, you let me know that.
Yeah, okay.
We talked about it. We alluded to starting a new campaign. Like you've done your session 0. You've gotten your little campaign packet from your DM. Hopefully, your primer packet. You've created your character. Now you guys have come together in that long-awaited day of session 1.
Getting on the board,
right? And session 1 is actually a very important session because it sets the tone for a lot of things. Sets a lot of things somewhat in stone. Maybe not stone, but in like clay.
Yes.
Right? Like it's the first impression that everyone has
through the fiery crucible
of the campaign. Right? So I think we wanted to talk about how to make that session 1 as successful as it can be. Right? To, as they say, put the best foot forward that you can. To hopefully prepare the rest of the campaign and all the other sessions that come after that for as much success as possible.
Nice.
Right?
Yes.
I think as usual, I will see what I can do to take things from the perspective of the player.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Sure.
That's my expertise.
I will take, then, I suppose, the perspective of the Fortress Master.
I was just wondering if you're going to say Fortress Master or not.
I'm proud. I'm proud to be maybe the only Fortress Master.
The only FNF player that I know of. So yeah. All right. All right. Sure. I'm just gonna slide on into it then.
Why don't you start us off?
Oh, I will. Okay. So I think most of the content out there focuses on DMs, right? Like all the prep that you need to do to start off session 1, like what not to do, what to do.
Let's start off the campaign, right?
Well,
not to
session 1. It's the campaign.
Yeah,
right?
It's all the pre-work, building the world.
But I haven't seen a lot of stuff out there talking about what the players can do. To make sure that the campaign is successful.
Get new players.
Nothing. Get out of here. Play Fortress and Furbolgs instead.
Yeah, when God gives you players, make lemonade.
Ooh, lemon players. But so yeah, I think it's important that, because we talk about DM prep, and that's really important. I also think that player prep is also very important because I think there's this misconception to think that, oh yeah, I'm going to sit down. The DM is going to just sort of handhold us through the whole session 1, sort of just feed us what we need to bring us together as a party to sort of launch us off on this grand adventure, right? And yes, that is kind of what DMs do, but that's not to say that there isn't things that we can do as players to help that along, to set the tone for things to come, because it is your campaign as a player as well. So we should put some energy and some responsibility into that.
Well, maybe a little clarification there, because they're all players.
Yes, sorry.
Right? Yeah, so it's the ones who will be manning the PCs.
Yes.
Right? As opposed to manning the DM screen.
It's true, because I said before also that players are also kind of DMs of their own character.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And they have just as much effect on the campaign and the direction as the DM does.
Or more,
yes. Right? So you should make sure that your own prep as a player is done, so that when you sit down, you're confident and you sort of have an idea of what you're doing, how you're situated at that table in that campaign, right? So the first thing you need to do, if you were lucky enough to have had some sort of information, sort of documents handed to you by your DM to let you know about the campaign world, or maybe you guys talked about it in session 0. Hopefully you made notes or recorded it. But familiarize yourself with the campaign world. Like, know in general what kind of world it is, sort of what themes are going for, the genre, right? What kind of, is it like high adventure, low magic, high magic, all that kind of stuff, right? If you have maybe some countries, familiarize yourself. You don't need to be an expert at all the different countries and what they do and what all the politics are and all the wars and the history, but at least a general idea. at least as much as your character would know.
Well, even if you're playing that like outcast, far traveler, whatever
Mhm.
kind of character that doesn't know a lot about the local scope that the campaign is starting within,
Right.
you should still have that meta knowledge, right? And then
Yes.
just reduce it for what your character actually knows,
Yep.
right? Because you still need to be a part of all these things that we talked about before and what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Right? A character still needs to exist within that world.
Well, and as a player, you also need your own megatrix,
Mm-hmm.
right? For sure.
I heard Megatrix.
Megatrix.
Megatrix from the player.
Even better.
That's pretty good.
Turning them megatrix on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, know the world that you're going to be playing in for the next month, year, 2 years, decade.
Extra.
When you're done with that, make sure you do understand as much as possible your own character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, so you don't have to a point where you don't have to keep sort of searching for like, oh, where did they grow up? Do they have parents? What are their favorite foods? Like, what are their hobbies? What are their values? All that kind of stuff. Like, know that, right? Embody that, right? Because you are going to be, this is the first time that this character is going to be living and breathing and doing things and saying things. So know that, understand that, like really suck that essence into you so that you can give it back to your table mates in a well-packaged experience.
Well packaged.
Or dirty experience, or whatever that you want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because if you don't understand your character, then it becomes harder to RP, right? It's because if something happens and you don't know what your character would feel about drinking at the tavern, then you will miss out on sort of opportunities, right? If indeed you're at a tavern.
Let's be honest, you're probably at a tavern.
Probably. I mean, even if it doesn't look like a tavern, it's a tavern. Right, and then once you understand those two things, the world, your character, then think about, have it prepared in your mind, how your character fits in the world, right? Understand, like, sort of, what does it mean that they grew up in, I don't know, Brown Tree Forest Village?
Oh,
right? That's the village. Like, what does it mean? And what does it mean for someone who grew up there to be in the main city, about to start off on an adventure that they've never done before, or have they? Right. So think about the context of your character in the world, so that so it's not just these two separate ideas, right? They are actually one idea, right? Because your character is a part of the world, and the world is a part of your character. So make sure you understand that unification. Because I think there's a lot of people who may not understand that they're not separate things. Because it's like, when we think about it, it's like, oh yeah, the DM builds the world, I build the character, and then we'll see what happens. But since you've got this information already, you should try to unify those ideas as much as possible in your brain before you start off. Right? It's important because it adds nuance to your RP. Right? And then the next thing I would do is, at some point, you're going to be describing your character to the other people at the table, right? Have something in mind. I mean, say you have, I'm playing a Goliath fighter from the Wretched Wastes, right?
Oh yeah.
Is that enough? Maybe, but it would be sort of the icing on the cake if you had something in mind, like a picture in your mind already, or maybe even notes on a piece of paper, like this is what they look like, this is what they wear, this is how he smells, this is how he, the hair color, this is how, the armor, the condition of the armor, how they move, right? Think about how you're going to describe your character and sort of what information you want to give to the other people at the table. So you're prepared, because someone is going to ask, they're going to ask you, at some point, you're going to describe your character. You're not just bragging, right? What you're actively doing is giving sort of toys for your other table mates to play with, right? Because you want them to play with you, right? If you don't give them anything, there's nothing to play with. And it will make the subsequent RP that much more disjointed, because they don't know what they're dealing with.
Mhm.
Right? And the description is the very first thing that you give them.
Mhm.
Because the DM will probably say, oh, through the door comes a humanoid figure, approaches the table, and then, Byron, please describe your character. Like
Mhm.
that is the quintessential
Mhm.
format of it. Right? They might give a little description, but then it's up to you to fill it out.
Yeah, they might give a little bit so that the person knows it's their turn to jump in. But
Yep.
yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So yes, put a big focus on that. It's important.
Mhm.
Right? Prepare that. Have it ready to go. If you have to write it out in a gray box, go for it.
Do it.
Right? It's better than nothing, than having nothing. Do it. Okay, the next thing you should get ready for is if you've done session 0, please have done a session 0. And where you've talked to the other people at the table and you sort of have an understanding of what their characters are and what they're kind of like in a general sense, try to have in your mind an idea of how your character would react to those characters or even think of those characters. So you have that in your mind set beforehand so that you have something to work with when it comes to RP. Because like drawing that blank sheet of paper, it's the hardest part to do. That first mark on the paper is difficult. So if you come in already with a plan of what sort of in general, sort of what area you want to do, how you want to RP and what you think about these other characters, then it's that much more easy and more natural when it comes to RP, right? It's like, oh, I come here and I want to draw a car. You kind of know an idea what to do for a car as opposed to just, I'm going to sit down and be like, I should draw something, but I don't know, right? I guess I'll just make a circle and see where it goes. It's much more disjointed. So yeah, think about the other characters. Think about how you would react as your character to them, right? So that when they do something, you know exactly what you would do. You're laughing.
No, we're gonna have it out. I think in this one, I like where you're coming from. I think what you're saying is great.
Okay.
Disagree with a lot of it. It's super awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I'm coming at it from a different way.
Like I said, things will be different in the wild. You never know what they're gonna do.
Oh yeah, no,
right?
It's just a field mouse.
So, but it's good to have at least some idea, right?
Yes. No, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
Yeah. Or prepare to improv. Always prepare to improv because that's what D&D is. Next, remember your homebrew content / rules if you have any. Right? If you have lots, even if you have only a few, maybe have a list just next to you, just to remind you. Right, because they're not the core stuff, and maybe it's your first time with these new rules, new content, and if you don't have it on there, you might forget about it. High chance that you will. I did the first time that happened. I was like, "What? How do you do Greyhawk Initiative again?" We talked about this, but that was like weeks ago. Right, having it out there is good. It's just a list, right?
Now, also, I might just add, in addition to homebrew, if you are new to the system, please arm yourself with all the flashcards, flow charts, everything that you can find online, because there's tons of resources that try and assist people with that. If you don't know what the basic action economy is in a combat round,
right,
please have a card or a page next to you that has a write-out of what this looks like.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to, just like when you're learning a new subject in school, right? Arm yourself with textbooks. Arm yourself with the knowledge and the ability to perform well without having to know it all. Or have that burden of knowledge on you.
That'll come as you go through and play.
It absolutely will.
But session 1, like I said, it just makes it smoother.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And lastly, come with a little bit of an action plan for yourself. An action plan is a little too concrete, but come with a list of sort of personal RP points that you might want to touch on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or like oh, there's these things about my character that I want everyone to understand right at first. So that when you're going through the RP, you're like, this is the information that I want to convey at some point.
Yes.
Right? So, and as you go, you can check it off.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
We're going to have it out
But it's, no, I
but
really,
like I said, it's as a guide,
yes,
right?
as a guide, and that goes back to when we were talking about kind of not session prep, but player prep. Like, when you go into a session, write down 4 to 6 things. In this case, if it's session 1, maybe do it a little bit beforehand. But as you're getting into your session mode, write down 4 to 6 things that you want to like touch on, or what you want to put a step towards progress of,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
And that's a great way to kind of map out how you want your session to go, right? Have a plan in mind, never rely on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's like this is the impression I want to give off of session 1. It's at this point, this point, this point, and this point. And I'll try my best to get it out. Right. So that if nothing else, you have something to work towards. Right. If there's a chance for you to do something, you have something to do. Yeah. Again, this is all just prep. This isn't not even like going into session 1 yet.
Right.
But I think if you have this stuff sort of thought out already and prepared, you'll be ready for maybe not whatever comes, but you'll be as ready as you can be, I think.
And I mean, in addition to that, I think having it floating around nebulously in your head and feeling confident about it, and going the extra step to writing it down, even in point form, is a big step. It is a big step from just like floating around and unorganized data in our mind space versus even the most mild of organization will help you out so much. Because then you will actually feel whether or not you know what you're talking about. Right? Can you sit down and explain your character to a person who's not affiliated with the game at all and have a nice, cohesive, long, great discussion about it? Well, in your head, you think you can.
Right.
But if you start writing out and you're like, I don't really know what to say.
What about that?
I got questions about this. And going through it slower in the act of writing it, in the act of typing it, even if you type really, really quickly, the act of going through it kind of line by line can really open up where you have made gaps.
Well, also, I think if you bring that short form list with you, because in live D&D, when you're in the moment of RP, you can miss so much stuff. Like you're so ultra focused, I find, on the RP that like all the like, what were the RP points that I wanted to touch? Like they're somewhere in the back of your mind somewhere, right? And if you have that list in front of you, it just, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to go searching for it. It's right there. Yeah. Right. So again, you don't have to sort of rustle around it, and it makes RP smoother and easier and feel more natural.
You know what I like to have with me when I'm doing this?
Oh, I know what you want to have, but you tell me. You tell me what you want to have.
A nice little neat pile of likes.
Just a little pile of likes?
Just a little pile of likes. That's all I need. It's session 1. Okay. I like to grow my likes over the entire campaign.
Well, it's all about making a great first impression. So if we've been a good first impression on you guys, or a second or a third or 28th impression, please toss a like.
So ding. Yeah, and if you're really feeling it and you haven't yet, but you want to begin your journey with us, hit the subscribe too, as well as the bell to get all the notifications and all that fun stuff, so we can continue our campaign with you. Aww. But I like what you said, even though I said I disagreed with a lot. I don't actually disagree with it a lot. I have a different perspective on a lot of these concepts.
Because you don't play D&D, you play F&F. It's different.
And I'm an F&F master.
He's going to F&F all of us.
Consecutively. So I like to maybe think, because we're talking about session 1, and I think in session 1, you talked a lot about that lead up to session 1. I think more I want to focus about that first session when everyone's sat at the table. We're not doing introductions anymore of the people. Everybody kind of knows everybody. The people. We're actually hands on dice, ready to roll, listening to the story, and we're here to play, right? So at the beginning, we go, just like in kindergarten, we start to learn our ABCs. So some of the ABCs that I think are important. Okay. Like you kind of referenced a few important things. I think session 1 of the first things that becomes the most important thing is that you are always being in character.
Okay. Yes.
Now, the
Always?
reason always be in character, unless, of course, somebody says above table or RP stop or X card comes down at the first session. Oof. Right. Unless you hit a line veil or X card or whatnot, you should maximize the amount of time at the table in the character's perspective. And the reason I say this is because, like you so eloquently stated, there's so much preparation that you've done for the game, whether you're a player DM or a player PC. You've got all of this stuff going on. And this is probably the first time that you're not making that voice in the bathroom.
Yes.
Right? This is the first yeah. This is the first time where you're actually test driving the Ferrari. Right?
Yeah.
You've read about it. The picture's been on your wall. You've been thinking about it for weeks, months, years, perhaps. You're actually in the seat, hands on the wheel.
On the street.
Right? Putting it into first gear and you're driving on the street. This is really your chance to no longer imagine what it feels like or imagine what you would say. This is time for you to actually say. This is time for you to actually be.
Yeah, you're in the weeds now.
You're in the tall grass. But this is so always being in character, especially at session 1, early in the campaign, is extremely important because you need to get that feeling. Are all of the thoughts and all of that kind of crystallization of the ideas that you've put together?
Right.
Does it make sense? Does it actually work?
Can you even do it?
Can you execute it?
Yeah.
And there's a I can't execute it well, but I will be able to, right? Because I'm trying something new. I'm trying to do this, right? That I've never done before, and I'm not really sure. And my idea was to explore it as we go through the campaign. Great. I don't expect you to be a master at that because you're supposed to explore it as you go through and learn about it. But like a great example is one of your previous characters and the voice that you chose for him. And it's just like,
Goblin,
playing a full session with this voice is way harder than conceptually I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
Right? And so these little things that we thought would be cool, that we thought would be, I'm playing the jokey character, I'm playing the tropey character, whatever. Does it actually feel good when you're doing it? Is it as awesome as you thought it was going to be?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yes, great. Sometimes, no, change it. Right? Depending on what you have done, this is the best time to change things because you haven't really established long precedents for it. Right? It's easier to change. You know what? I thought they were going to be British, but now they're German. Okay, cool. That's the accent base that I want to use for them because this character feels like it's more short and stern, and I want to exemplify some of those things. Okay, great. Or you just feel that way. Oh, I didn't know that the DM thought that everybody that comes from the town that I come from speaks in this accent. Right? I didn't think to ask that in session 0 or in my preamble, like texting them or whatnot. Oh, shoot, I guess. Well, I can do that accent. I'm going to change that accent. I want my character to feel like they come from that place. Right? I don't want them to feel like they come from something different. So you're going to change what, if you want to, you don't have to. But if that is your desire, then you're going to change. And so as we go through this, there also is, I think, a level of self-awareness that needs to be really opened up and expanded, where you do analyze everything that you are doing in a gentle and kind way to yourself. But it's to go, oh, this voice is way too hard on my throat.
It's true. I never practiced that.
Right.
Like at length.
At length. Just like, blah, 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 blah. And then you stop.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, oh, yeah, no problem. I can do this.
Like, yeah. 5 minutes while taking a poo or whatever.
Bathroom time.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, I need more toilet paper.
But doing it for a whole dinner? No, right? Like
no.
And so these types of things creep up on us. What we thought was a great idea. Now in execution, I'm going to think about what it is that I've done. I'm going to double check all of the prep work that I've done for anything that feels weird or anything that feels tense or terse or like doesn't feel smooth.
Well, and the problem is you don't know what's weird and what's not smooth until you get into it.
Exactly. So all the prep that you could have done could be for naught if it all feels too uncomfortable. If it feels a little uncomfortable, I think you're okay.
Yeah.
But if it's too uncomfortable, if it goes beyond kind of your safety boundaries, right? It's not just in the red zone, but it's outside the bounds of whatnot.
Mhm.
If you're not comfortable doing it, now is the time to change it. Now is the time to think about it.
Yeah.
And make the corrections immediately, or maybe plan to make the corrections, right? So for instance, with Goblin's voice, you could have been like, no, he wants to become, in this case, more civilized.
Right.
So he's going to try and emulate the voices of the people around him, and he's going to take that rasp out of it.
Right.
So I'm going to plan to mitigate this problem that I didn't foresee. Great. Awesome. Now I have an evolution part to my character that I didn't expect.
Right.
Right. But I'm open to this because it's session 1. And blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my first one. Always be in character, because you never know what you thought was cool is actually going to be cool.
Yep.
And now we get to find out. You get to drive the Ferrari now, right? And feel how awesome it is. And sometimes it's too much power.
Too much.
My second ABC, I think, is not necessarily exact, but
You love the acronyms.
I do love little organizational tidbits. Anywhere but a cantina. So not a tavern. So, everybody starts in a tavern. Okay, great. What am I actually trying to say here is that really this is a comfortable starting point for a lot of people, because it's a nice general. Like, what do you do? Oh, well, we go to the bar after work. Okay, great. What do adventurers do? Oh, they go to the inn to have a drink after a long day of killing goblins and digging ditches. Okay, cool. This is what happened. Well, they got to dig the ditch after they killed the goblins, because So do understand that much like the Harmon wheel, we're beginning in an area of comfort. Okay. So I really think when you break it down, this is one of the 2 most confident places you will be in control and understanding of your character. It's before anything has happened. And the other one is right at the end of the campaign, which is after everything has happened.
Yeah.
Right? I know who my character is so well because I haven't actually experienced any of their story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that is a great confidence to have. You just need to be prepared for things not to go your way. Because your character is untested, right? Your character is brand new. They are about to embark on a journey that should change them, that should have a meaningful adjustment to them. Be aware that they're not going to be the same person that they are at the beginning. And that's a good thing, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Anywhere but a cantina, right? Get out of the comfort zone. Understand that you're in a place where you're in control and you're going into a place where you're not in control.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Practice the things that you have developed to make your role, right? Do that. Analyze it, right?
Like the things like the voice.
The tics.
Yep.
I don't know, the way that they always look up and to the left, right? Just whatever it is, right? Maybe they mumble to themselves. Maybe you always mumble the last 3 sentences or words. Last 3 sentences of your Batman? What are you doing in here?
And the second ABC, practice.
I love it so much. But it's a great idea that will never fly. It doesn't go anywhere.
No.
It's just terrible. But it's so funny to think of. So when we're doing these things, right, do practice what you have conceived of, but get out of your comfort zone. Push it a little bit. Right?
Yes.
And go beyond where it was. And be aware that everybody is doing this simultaneously.
Hopefully.
Everybody should be attempting to create a little bit of friction within themselves, right? And a little bit of that uncomfortable place to go to, that everybody's going to kind of be a bit of a hungry hippo and gobbling up everything and trying to get as much stuff out, and everybody's excited and check out my new this and that, right? Everybody's in a new Ferrari and they want to show everybody how cool their new Ferrari is. So be aware that people might not be focused on what you're doing.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
But just understand that they're working through their thing as well. Right? And last but not least, I think, is articulate beautiful compositions.
Huh.
Yeah.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, it does. And I think this is the goal, is if you feel flummoxed, if you feel nervous, if you feel that there's something that is going to prevent you from doing your best, defy it. resist the urge to shrink into the shadow and
yes.
go forth and take the time to say, no, I worked really hard on this description. I would like to share it with you. I apologize if it's a little long, but there's some very interesting things that I feel that are in here. Right. And then you go into your description. And if anybody's like, boring, shut up, then you just be like, hey,
let's X card that.
Boom. There comes your X card, right?
Right.
And it's just like, no, do your best, right? Whatever you want to do, however you want to experience this, go forth and do that.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you articulate the beautiful compositions, really what it's saying is taking that space to just do it and accept that maybe you go a little faster. Maybe you go a little quicker. Maybe you go a little more colorful. Maybe you speak always at like a postdoctorate level. Okay, great. Do that, right? Still try and relate it to the table. Still have the most fun that you can, but don't be afraid to be yourself when you're doing these things, right? And understand that they're all good, Bront, right? Like
they're all good
just
dogs.
like doggos, right? Everybody is doing their best, right? Yep. And we talk about everyone's a poet and a scholar at the table, right? This is the time for you to practice the gratitude when receiving that somebody is sharing something that means something to them. They've been thinking for days, weeks, months, years about this, and now they're sharing it with you. It's like 5 seconds to a minute of your life. Like it's no big deal. Let them have that moment in the spotlight and just appreciate. Yeah. I think those are 3 like kind of important ABCs of just kind of getting in there for like while you're at the table.
No, I really like that last point in your articulate beautiful compositions where you say be sort of grateful for what other people are putting before you, even though it may not be great.
You might not think
you may not feel that it's great.
Yeah.
But they've probably put themselves out there.
Correct.
And they're probably uncomfortable. And they're doing this for the table, right? For the campaign. Right? Because I think in order to sort of, I've always believed, I think, not always, but I do believe that in order to have the sort of the most meaningful experiences, your feeling going into it should be a mixture of excitement and fear. Like that nervous excitement. If you're riding that line, like if it's too much, then you're just scared. That's not good. If it's not enough, then it's boring. Right? You should be excited and nervous at the same time, and that's really where you want to be, right? So want to push just so you're like a little bit. Oh, is this okay? I don't. But I want to do it. Like that's the great point to be at. And if other people are doing that, no matter how it might feel to you, unless it's uncomfortable and not good, appreciate that. Right. Like, and take the time to listen and to interact with that. Take it in, right? Because it's not easy. Yeah. No, it's great.
So no, that's why I kind of left it for last. But I think it's really important that we do that we give ourselves the space and we give everyone else the space to really feel beautiful.
Oh, because we're all the things. We're ugly, we're beautiful, right? We're good, we're bad, all that stuff.
That's art.
I did go to art college, I guess.
Oh,
no, weird. But speaking of like that first session, now that we've sat down at the table and we're doing it, one of the things I think one of your goals, I think, like you said, don't be a wallflower. Yeah. What you want to do is make an impact. Like make sure that your character is there, right, in a meaningful way.
The eagle has lined.
Right? Yeah. Right? Because if they're not there at the first session, it's hard to then build from there. You're behind the ball now. Right? You're this other people who've established their character and made that impact. They're investing with $1,000 while you're starting from zero now. Right? You're way behind. So make sure your goal is to make an impact, however big or small that you can handle. That should be, I think, one of your main goals. Because session 1, now that you're there, is your chance to show not just what your character looks like with your description, but who your character is, right? And it's not telling people who your character is. It's showing them through your actions, your speech, and your RP now. Right?
In best case scenario. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, in the wild, who knows what'll happen, but
yeah,
you should try your best to do this, I think.
Yep.
So in that way, because you want to show who your character is, find an excuse, as many excuses as you need to display sort of the defining features of your character. Right? So maybe not say this is what they believe, but somehow display your belief. Like show hints and sort of evidence of what your character believes in, what their values are. Right? Even like
that's a tough one sometimes.
Like, oh, let's drink. Oh, I don't drink. I'll just, or maybe don't even say I don't drink. Oh, I'll have a juice, some milk, or water. Right? It's a
milk drinker.
Milk, yeah. That's the Nords. They don't like that. The milk drinkers. But yeah, show your values. If you have a catchphrase for a character, you must say it. Well, no, you must.
Yeah.
But it's a great chance to make that impact.
Believe it.
And then, because then the next time you say it, people are like, oh, that wasn't just a thing that they said. Right. Now it's a catchphrase.
Yeah.
But you established it on session 1. Right? Easy stuff, right? If you have a catchphrase, just use it. Find an excuse. You talked about tics. For sure. Display those behavioral tics. Right? Up and to the left.
Right. And don't be afraid to actually do it. Like do it while you're talking.
Or while someone else is talking.
Yeah.
Just look, and the people are like, what? What? What's Rothgar doing? Believe it. Right? And use that voice.
Use it.
Use that voice. Put yourself out there. Hopefully, like I said, you don't have to if you're not super uncomfortable, but try something. Try to just use a voice that's not your own. Right? And I think we've talked about voices enough, so I'm not going to get into it. But for sure, if you have a voice, or if you have even an idea of a voice, maybe you've been too embarrassed to try it in the shower or wherever, alone time, just try it. And then just see how far you can go. Because no one's going to say it's the wrong voice. It's session 1.
Right.
Yeah. Right? And if it evolves, it evolves. That's fine. But it establishes that you have a character, and this character has their own voice now, right? And that's impact. If you want to make an impact, what you want to do is also you want to somehow convey to the people of your table your character's 1 sentence dictionary definition.
Yeah, we talked
if
about that,
there was an entry in the dictionary for your character, this is what it would say.
And it has to be positive.
Yeah, you can't say they're not this, they're not that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So
what they are.
So an example is this character is an X, whatever that may be, right? Who wants Y because Z. But they can't because A.
Oh, okay.
But that's the problem that they have.
Can you do that one more time?
It is your character is an X who wants Y because Z.
Okay.
But can't because A.
Okay.
Whatever that might be for your character.
Okay.
You got that?
Yes. Yes, I do.
So if we just make it up in our mind as an example, it's they are a handicapped elf from Durhamville, right? Who wants new legs, right? Because their legs got eaten by a bear while trying to save their sibling as a child, right? But can't because they can't walk to the place they need to get new legs.
Oh, vicious, right? Vicious.
That's why they need friends. That's why they need a party to help them.
Right.
And they don't have enough money. Whatever, right? But that's a 1 sentence thing. This is what they're all about for now. As a starting character.
That's how they know themselves coming out of their backstory.
Yeah.
Right?
This is where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Right. This is sort of my world right now. Right. So yeah, that's a quick example. Then you immediately know anyone who, when you think about your character, you know this is who they are right now. And hopefully when you're done session 1, other people at your table will know at least some idea of this sentence, this definition that you've built for your character.
Okay.
Right? If you need to, write that one sentence down in your prep notes.
Yep.
For yourself. And so you have it always burning in your eyes when you look down. Right.
Brutal.
And by doing all these things, you also want to start tossing out. What you're doing is you're casting out these character hooks or other. The hook motion for you guys listening.
The hook motion.
The hook motion. This is the hook motion. Now.
Yes.
You're casting hooks out for the other players, the other characters to bite on, just so they can participate in your story because you've told them what your story is now, right? You're an X who wants Y because Z. Yeah,
or you've shown them and now they have a point of interest to talk about. Yeah,
because they can't A, because then they're like, oh, I can help you with that A.
I can A,
right? Because I have legs.
Wow.
Right?
Wow, throw that in my face.
Right? Because you're a mermaid, you have legs.
Oh.
Yeah. Or whatever.
It's a sea elf.
Self.
Uh-oh.
Sea elf.
Yeah.
All them selfies. That's why no one takes them seriously.
Selfie.
So yeah, those hooks out. So then it preps the other players to be able to RP with your character seamlessly. Like, oh, is that thing? Cool. I've got something that I can add to that. Right. Yes, and.
You're my axe, my bow, and my legs.
What? And
thanks, Boromir.
But yeah, cast out your hooks, right? Do and say sort of loaded things that make sense to your character that may not, that may seem mysterious or unexplainable from an outsider's point of view.
Yes, that's throwing out those curious shapes that don't quite.
Right. A round of drinks for everyone. No, that's evil. What? Like, why? Why is that evil? Why? It's a loaded thing. So it invites people to ask that question. Why does your character say that? Why your character do that? Right? Why they, I don't know, sprinkle salt into their ale before they drink it. Right? And then spit out the last mouthful.
League of Legends players.
Because it's so salty. Right?
Yeah.
Because what you're doing with those kind of things, you're targeting not the other characters, you're targeting the other players.
Right.
To make them interested in your character.
Yes.
So they'll want to play with you because there's interesting, your toy is not just a toy now, it's an interesting toy that's mysterious, that invites people to explore your character. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And if you do that, that's the impact. Right? Like, oh, this character is interesting. I know what they're about now, and I know sort of the entry points into interacting with this character.
Yeah.
Right. And that sets the tone for all the other sessions that come after it.
That's true.
Make an impact. Right. Because if you don't, then it takes a long time for people to figure out exactly how to interact with your character afterwards.
Yeah.
When there's things that are distracting.
And that sentence is really a great way to kind of come out of our previous talk of like how to make your NPC matter or your PC matter, right? What is the most important question, right? That's a great way to simplify it down, but do go and check that out because we talked for over an hour specifically on this.
So many.
Right. And yeah, no, it is a great way to simplify it down so that it's just a clear message, easy to write down. Yep.
Well, it's a good message for yourself too, because it's easy to forget.
It is easy to forget.
Especially when you're in the heat of the moment.
Well, maybe you don't play every week. Maybe you play once every 2 weeks. Maybe you play once a month. Maybe you play once a quarter, right? Like, or maybe you play once whenever everybody can get together because we're all busy people, right? Like, if you don't have those specific reminders for yourself, then you will probably lose this amazing thing that you made.
Right. Yeah. Or maybe not lose it, but it won't be as tasty as it could have been.
Yeah.
But speaking of making an impact, I know it's difficult for some people to just reach over to their mouse and move it over to the like button and make an impact on that like button, on the subscribe button, the bell button, the follow button, the rate button, the donate button.
If it's there.
Yeah.
That's all. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So much money. What? Right.
Maybe if our editor can add money from the sky.
Yes, please like and subscribe. It would make a great impact on us. Every like is a huge impact. Every subscribe is a huge impact.
This is very interesting. This impact. Kaboom! Because I think it is. Yes, it is extremely important.
Oh, geez.
It is extremely
hot takes
important.
incoming.
And well, maybe not yet. I'm gonna swallow this one down.
No, I like it.
It is down.
Swallow it.
Jumping behind the screen a little bit, we've been talking a lot about PCs and stuff here, and while a lot of these things do contribute to what the DM has done for NPCs and whatnot, and kind of filled these ideas out in their mind as well. As the DM, as you kind of alluded to originally when you were speaking, and under the kind of concept of making an impact,
right?
Just like the PCs going through their ABCs, this is your first chance to really show what you have created.
For you guys listening, you guys got to watch this one. We're making so many hand movements.
This is your in-flight specialists. The DM's first chance. So now the DM is not driving a Ferrari; they are driving a bus, right? And they are taking people with them.
Okay.
And so this is arguably one of the more important roles at the beginning, because yes, everybody's in the bus and everybody's doing their thing, but you are driving the bus at the beginning, and so this is where the rubber meets the road for continued car metaphors. Metaphor, yeah. It is really your chance to bring that little packet that you gave the PCs, all of the conversations where the world building has happened, right? All of that's in the past. All your prep that you've done for this moment is in the past. Now is your chance to bring it into real life.
A moment of truth.
Right? And this is super important.
Is it though?
It super is.
So important, guys.
So, yeah. Guys, because this is essentially the vehicle that all of these people are trying to create their own stories within, right? And it is really a moment that can be difficult if you're unpracticed in doing it. If it's your first time sitting in the quote unquote big chair, right? Or the hot seat or whatever it is. You have spent days, weeks, months conceiving of this story, and now other people are going to get to experience it. And the stuff that you, like we talked about before, is it cool? Well, it's cool to you. That's why you put it in there.
Yeah.
Is everybody else going to find it awesome? Are these like self-doubts going to start building? Does imposter syndrome rear its ugly head and whatnot? Yes, it's going to, until you learn how to slay those demons inside you and become comfortable with them. Or become comfortable with them. You need to trust the process. You need to trust yourself. Everyone is excited to sit at the table. That's why they're at the table. That's why they've spent their own time coming up with these characters to become part of your world and you part of their story and build this together. It's not because they absolutely don't want to be there.
Right. Well, they want to be there.
Right. Like this is just an excuse to drink and eat chips. Cheat day. Right. Like, no.
There's easier ways to do that.
There's way easier ways to do it. So trust the process. Trust that what you have created is an articulated, beautiful composition. Right. This does apply to you as well. And arguably, what you've got in your head is far greater in scope. Right. Because you're building out your main storyline, your villain storyline, your sub-villain storylines, all the PC storylines, all of your hooks, all of your bait, all of your red herrings, all of your, everything that's going on in your brain is so much greater generally in size than thinking about just a single PC.
Right.
Right. And focusing down the scope to that. Trust yourself. Go through it. Like I said before, take the time to articulate what it is that you want to do your best. Hey, we only got halfway through this. Great. It's a cliffhanger for next session.
Yeah.
Right. They're coming back. right? They're going to come back.
Yes.
And if you bomb, that can happen too. We all have bad sessions. If your first session happens to be really bad, that can happen too, right? And whether you do a redo or you move forward with, hey guys, I was super nervous. I didn't think it was going to, but I'm actually performing. I'm not just sitting in a chair. I didn't realize that I'm kind of performing for a small audience, especially in episode 1, especially when what was going on. So after you trust the process at least twice, you need to relax, right? You need to understand that yes, it is a position that does carry some unique challenges to it, but ultimately you can do it. You just have to either get used to it or figure out ways of surpassing these barriers, and you will find success there, and you will find something that you will love in a very different way than playing a PC. It's a very different experience. Some people like it more, some people like it less, but it is awesome.
I mean, if you're nervous about being a DM, I think typically you're nervous because you fear judgment. And I think it's very rare that you'll get any harsh judgment from people at your table. Because if none of you have DM before and you're a first-time DMer, they're probably not going to do a better job than you, right? If you have veteran DMs that are playing as characters now in your campaign, they're not going to judge you because they've been there, right? And they're going to be
they're rooting for you.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And you can always lean on them, and they'll absolutely give you support, right? Because I'm sure they know how crazy it is to sit in that seat, right? And all those feelings, they're like, yeah, I got you. It's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Take that moment. You stumbling through a gray box or a monologue that you've got, a monologue in your first session. Bravo.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So like, trust in yourself. Yeah. Like you are good enough.
Take a breath. Take a little sip. Clear your throat in a mischievous, devious way. And then continue, right? Like rally and continue, right? But ultimately, bring your heart rate down and relax. Everybody's experiencing all of these new things simultaneously.
Yeah.
That honestly, they're not super focused on you. They're focused ultimately on themselves experiencing you. And so really they're focusing inward before they look at you going through this.
It's a weird date. How are you doing? I'm focused on myself experiencing you.
And we're doing great. How are yous? But this is an important kind of way of looking at it, right? Because yes, while you are speaking, while you are leading, while you're doing your kind of introductory kind of spiel, whatever it is, go through it. Matthew Mercer does it great, but he's also done it a million times. So you would do it great as well if you did it a million times. It just so happens that this is your first time. Or it's your first time in this campaign, whatever it is. Relax. Just do it. You know you can. Yeah. And like we said before, sometimes the Ferrari's got too much power. You didn't realize that this is what you're going to experience. It's okay. That feeling will go away.
Well, you can always slow down, take a deep breath.
Correct.
Take a deep breath. Put off the gas pedal.
Yeah, just take a sip of a drink and continue, right? Especially if it's a long kind of intro. Yeah, people need to A, breathe, and B, consume liquids to survive. Do those things.
What?
Give yourself a break.
That's my problem. That's what I'm missing.
Also, now that you're trusting the process, you're trusting what you have built before. When you get to session one, I believe, should be one of, if not your most planned out session, period.
Yep.
And now the reason that I say this is because you need to do a lot of stuff as the DM, far more than the players describing the cool buckle that they have on the belt. You need to set the atmosphere for the world, right? You need to set that opening monologue that you've got and lean into the emotions, into the evocation of feelings and ideas and mental imagery that you're trying to generate and what's going on there. It does take that kind of special time and talent to do it, and it's far more introductions than just a physical description of a PC.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Not saying that the descriptions aren't important.
You haven't seen my descriptions of my PC.
You have to describe the tavern that they're starting in, and the barkeep, and the people around, and the town, and the surrounding area that they traveled through to get there, and a little bit of a hook here, and a little bit of a story bullet there, and right, all of these things are in the atmosphere.
Not to mention if you just toss them right into the action right away.
Well, and this is another way, right? Don't start in the tavern type thing. Yeah, you can start out with combat. That's another great way of having an impactful. But then you've planned that. You've planned to just throw them into the mud and see what happens type thing, right? But you have meticulously created that scenario. And then what you do with it going forward, okay.
What a great first sentence to the players. Everyone says, "I'm ready to start." Yeah, roll initiative.
Right? It is. It's a good one. It's a very good one. I think if you haven't seen it, you're doing yourself a disservice. But Exandria Calamity, once again, Brennan opens up. Fire. Hey, you player in the corner, please describe yourself as if your mouth is full of blood. Right? And you're just like, what's happening to me now?
That's how you set a tone.
Right? That's how you set the tone. And then that player's pristine description of themselves goes out the window because now they know that they are gouting blood from their mouth. Right? No longer can they talk about their shiny little belt buckle. Right? Now they have to describe how their character feels. You put them on their toes.
Yep.
Right? And shifted the world where they thought they were comfortable into something not.
My description that I wrote out, that's 3 paragraphs.
3 pages. Oh. Don't worry, we'll get to it. Right? But these are kind of the sorts of things.
After this, we're going to the tavern, guys, okay?
You won't have a mouth to go to the tavern with.
I don't have legs. I don't have a mouth.
Mr. Anderson. So bringing the world or the scope, because remember we talked about that, bringing the scope of your world to life is going to be one of your primary goals in this first session. Whether it's jumping in the future when they're 20th level characters and running a level 20 combat off the cuff. Well, you probably had to let them know they're running 20th level characters, right? Because or unless you prepared level 20 characters, because you're fighting the evil demon king and sealing him away, but then he's going to be the ultimate BBAG again, right?
No.
He gets out and
I hate it when he does that.
Right? But whatever you're doing, you're trying to create that impact, but you also have to add that color and life to the world as you go through it. And one of the other major things that you need to do is you need to create a clear and apparent reason why the campaign is happening and why you're starting here. Now, even if it's in the monologue, the night grows longer with every new moon. Shadows rise and move by themselves unseen. Darkness is rising. We jump to the tavern.
Right.
Bathed in light. The candles flicker across their blah, 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 blah. Right? You've said then that evil is rising. Somebody needs to fight it. The shadows are growing. Blah, blah, blah. They're our heroes. This is what they're going to be competing with. Right? There's a clear intention and a clear direction that you are instilling in them. It doesn't have to be the big one. It doesn't have to be the main one.
Right.
Right? But it has to be one. Right? You need to give them that kind of main hook. They're throwing out all these tiny hooks. You need to get in there with the big kahuna hook. Right? And draw people towards that line so that the PCs know and understand, the players know and understand where they're going, how to exit their scenes.
Because the campaign is a character too.
Because the campaign is a character too. And it needs its own description. And that description is years long if you want it to be. Right? So that's really important, is a clear and apparent reason. And go in there being able to, if you can, with absolute certainty, which you never can, I just learned this lesson. If you can go in and then look at what you're saying, try and remove all of your meta knowledge. Look at what you're saying in your monologue. Look at the packets that you've given out. Look at, the introduction and the mayor comes in and asks for help getting rid of the wolves that are picking off the livestock, whatever it is. If you can answer the 5 W questions for the PCs very clearly.
Who, what, where, when.
Who, what, where, when, why.
Who, what, where, when, why. Yeah.
Right? Who, what, where, when, why for those non-accented. In the Canadian accent. If you can answer those very clearly, then you have communicated enough information so the players know what to do in the first session. Yes, they need to meet each other. Yes, they need to do this. Yes, they need to show off a little bit. Yes, they need to brood in the corner. But what they really
That's
need
what they
to
do in
do
the corner.
is get started with the campaign. Get started with the. That's my reaction to the corner brooders. Those questions need to be answered so that you can confirm that you have distilled the campaign, that other character, into that one clear bite as well, right? And make sure you answer them: the who, the what, the where, the when, the why. How is up to them, right? You're just presenting a scenario. You are not responsible for solving the scenario.
Well, because it's not a W, it's an H.
Yes, an H. That's what it is. Additionally, I think one of the things that you mentioned earlier that I would like to specifically draw DM's attentions to is homebrew and new rules. Okay. You DMs out there sitting there watching us. Thanks for watching this long. And listening this long, if you're listening. You need to
Don't you dare click away. I see your hand moving.
Well, if you could move the mouse, you can move it to the like button. Cletus. You need to have a lesson plan.
Yeah. Cletus.
Yeah. I won't go watch the moonshine. Shout out to Cletus. No.
Don't you go watching more cat videos?
Yeah. Maybe they need a break from us. But you need to have a lesson plan. Much like a teacher, you need to make sure that the PCs and the players and you understand how all of the homebrew things work. We've talked about the Mario leveling progression. We've talked about how to instill small things and then grow them into bigger things. Yeah, if you guys have a whole bunch of new homebrew rules, or if you've switched editions and you're now in a new edition and it's basically the same, it's not the same. And we need to go through that progression of lessons or learning to make sure that we all understand. So, jumping back to what I did in my last campaign that I ran is, yes, we had, like yourself, a new player who hadn't played with the Greyhawk Initiative system.
No.
And so I created a scenario where there was a safe way for the PCs to experience combat and actually have a vested interest in it with no chance of death. And this got them used to using the combat rules. So that everybody got to throw the dice, got to calculate it themselves. And we specifically went slow through it. We specifically said, okay, remember guys, this is this and this is that. Does anybody have any questions? Does everybody know what dice they're rolling? Does everybody know what they're doing? Right? We went through that. And because of that, more information stuck.
Yeah. Maybe.
There's still some updates. They still have some flubs. Of course, we're all human. But we got the information out. And that's really what was most important in this scenario. So have your lesson plan to make sure that you can integrate these new rules and bring them out real quick if possible. Right? Like, oh guys, lava doesn't instantly kill you. Oh, well, maybe we're not starting in a tavern. We're starting in a volcano.
A lava tavern.
Cool. Lava tavern. Hot stuff.
Coming through.
Yeah. So this is a super important thing, is to build this and have a great idea of exactly how you're going to bring these things out and incorporate them in so that everybody understands it. In addition, if people are kind of not sure about what these rules are, or you don't know whether you like them or not, trial by fire, baby. Right? Hey, I thought this would be great, but it's just too many numbers. There's so much math going on that it's really slowing down the combats, which I think are kind of slow anyway already. So can we not? Absolutely, you're right. We tried it. Nixed. No problem. Moving on. Right? Maybe we'll bring it back in when you guys are more comfortable. Oh, okay, great. Awesome. And then we move forward. Right? But this is, like we said before, you are test driving a lot of stuff.
Right.
So it's important to get out there and do that test driving. And lastly, when you're setting the stage, when you're allowing for impact, like you said with character introductions, timing is going to be a super important thing that you need to plan for. You need to plan so that everybody has that space and time to do their beautiful articulations.
That spotlight, eh?
Right? Allow them, plan for, and allow that spotlight is going to be stuck to people for a longer amount of time than it normally would be.
Right.
Right? So that they have the stage and they have the mic and we're all going to sit and listen to them for a moment. Because you got your moment with the monologue. You're going to have tons of moments as you go through.
Yeah.
But this is one of the most important moments in their career as this PC.
You them a table full of pisses?
Yes.
I'm the DM, but you guys, you're just a bunch of pisses.
I want to play that game. Yes, but you need to plan for that timing, plan for those breaks.
That should be my character voice.
You're Goliath, hey?
Yeah. Them bitches.
So yeah, no. This is going to be very difficult too, because you don't know how long, you don't know how articulated, how beautiful, how collaborative these collections of information are going to be. So you need to plan extra time for it. So when you are planning this session out, right, you need to make sure that you've got half an hour just for introduction.
Yeah.
And that initial like beginning chat where they're all like, what do you drink? Evil. And you're like, whoa. Okay, here we go.
What do you do? How do you fight? What's your combat mechanic?
Yeah. Maybe if you're a bunch of murder hobos, right? And you're like, how do you like to gut a boy?
Wow.
It's like, oh, we're going deep fast. That's a bunch of forever DMs getting around.
They're just getting all that trauma out.
Also have patience, right? When you're doing this. Also allow people who are uncomfortable that extra time that they might need to stammer it out. And thank them, right? Oh, that's really cool. Oh, I didn't think that's how that buckle would look on your belt.
Right.
Very interesting, you say, right? With a smile. And then they feel good. You give them that immediate kind of dopamine hit, right? Yeah. Where you're just like, that thing that you did was really cool. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. And then we got to move because I got the rest of the session to go, but you had your time and you did not feel compressed or compacted by it. Thumbs up. Great. Off we go. And especially if you're doing kind of vignettes or like separate adventure stories that are coming together, you got to know like, oh man, okay, we're playing for 3 hours. I have 6 PCs. That's half an hour per PC. Plus they'll have to introduce themselves and how they look and start talking at the table. So that's a half an hour for that. And so now I don't have a half an hour for each PC. I got like 15 minutes.
Half an hour per PC. That's already 3 hours.
That's already 3 hours, right? So there's no breaks. Oh, so now it's really like 15 minutes per PC. Plus they're going to have a shopping episode because I can't stop them.
And a beach episode? Jeez, guys.
Right? Conceive of this stuff. It's difficult. I find it
It's just difficult. A montage.
But yeah, gonna have a montage. But get that into your brain that this is important to really allow for them to take as long and more time than they need. And then if you get any of that time back in your timing, great. They'll fill it up with some hijinks.
Always,
right?
And
then Yeah. So from the DM's perspective, I think that's
perspective. Yeah.
A lot of important stuff conceptually when you're running that session.
No, it's absolutely. Absolutely. The DM probably does have by far for sure. They have the biggest load of prep out of everyone at the table.
Yep.
Just drop that load of prep on
that
the table.
That boy's a steaming load of prep up in that head of his.
Right? And as players, you're going to gut that prep, right? The moment you guys
like
go
a pinata, just smash it and get all that lore.
But I mean, it's something to remember, though. You've gone there. You've done your player prep. You're like, I'm going to make an impact, both as a player and a DM, right? But now that you're there, something that you've got that in your mind, something to keep with you in your heart, I think, while you're playing, not just session 1, but all sessions beyond 1, 2, is to remember that you were born to give.
Oh.
Just like that song by Weezer, The Greatest Man Who Ever Lived. That guy's the greatest man because he was born to give.
And give.
And give and give and give. So you as a player, as a DM, should always remember that you should be giving. That should be your default sort of mode when you're RPing, when you're playing at the table. Because if everyone is giving, then everyone is receiving more than they give, right? So you'll get more back. Okay. And we alluded to this earlier. That's why we don't like the corner brooders, because that's not giving. Right. That's why I like to toss out hooks for the players. That's why the DM tosses out campaign hooks, right? It's giving. right? And it's
That's the greatest corner brooder ever was Strider. Oh, Strider from Lord of the Rings.
right.
When they first meet him, he's hiding in the corner smoking a pipe. And then immediately he's saving their ass and taking them away from the prancing pony. Right? Like he's just, yes, that's how you play a corner brooder. One who's ready to jump right in.
Right. That's the impact.
Correct.
Right. So, and we talked about you're going to be uncomfortable because it's a new campaign, new characters, maybe new players, right? So you should steel yourself and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like know that it's going to be uncomfortable and just embrace it. Because that's the line that where you want to be, nervous excitement, right? A little bit uncomfortable, right? Again, we talked about this in session 0, our episode there. Be brave. You're going to be scared, but that's your chance to be brave, right? And give, and give, give. Be the greatest RPer, greatest player, the greatest DM who ever lived, right? Be proactive about your giving, right? So what you want to do, right away, as soon as you can, find something for your character to really care about in that first session, and then focus on it. Your DM will love it, right? Oh, the character cares about something in the campaign now. Now they're solidifying their place in the world, right? Because before then, it's just your character is just some ephemeral idea that floats up in the nether, right? But now it's a real character who's experienced the other characters and the campaign world. Now it's a new care. I want to care about something new in the campaign, something that happened that my character cares about, and that sort of anchors your character to the world. Be that another character, a place, an NPC, something that happened, a store, whatever, something to care about that happened in session 1. Okay, so and that takes proactive thought. No one can give that to you because the DM will try, like, here's something to care about. But if you don't choose to make your character care about it, it's wasted. And the DM will hate that. Hate it so much probably because it's like, I prepared this wonderful hook, but no one cares about it. Right? So and the DM is so prepared, and it's session 1, and players will be players and just mess with things.
Players gotta play.
Right? And we talk about hijinks. That's your PCs, right? But session 1, be kind, okay, to your DM, right? And don't sabotage their stuff.
Bring it.
If you know that that's a hook, just go along with it.
Yeah.
Find a reason to go along with it.
Give them one session.
Right? At least don't find an excuse not to.
Not to, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because, again, session 1 is important, and your DM's trying to set the cornerstone for that building that you're building together, that is your campaign. And everyone knows the cornerstone is what sets all the dimensions for your walls for the entire building, right? If your cornerstone is not perfect, your walls and your building of your entire house that you're building will be wonky, right? That's why the cornerstone is so important. And session 1 is your cornerstone. So if your DM Mason is trying to build this cornerstone, try your best not to mess it up too much, right? Unless you have to, I guess. But do your best not to.
Shout out to everybody named Mason who's a DM.
Yeah.
You DM Masons.
A stonemason.
A stonemason.
That's what I was referring to.
I know you're talking about that Mason, but people are named Mason too.
I guess so. Yeah. Are they the people though? Debatable. Hot take.
Prove yourself, Mason, by commenting. I am a human.
Another way of giving is to make connections with other PCs. Again, don't be the wall brooder, the corner brooder, right? Go and proactively make connections. Someone's showing off their buckle. Just make your character go, hey, that's a nice buckle.
I've seen a buckle like that once before.
Right? And then
on a dead man.
That's well, even so, that's a that's a connection. Whether it's a positive or negative, it's still a connection.
I know, I love it.
Right? If someone is being a corner brooder, go to them and be like, hey, why are you sitting in this corner?
Let me see your belt buckle.
That's a nice buckle there.
I saw it from across the road.
It's so shiny.
Boy.
Why don't you take it off so I can get a closer look at it? That's my name. I made that buckle. Do you like it?
That's my name. It's awesome. I knew I recognized you.
And if you want to, be nice to the DM. Also make connections with the NPCs, like actual connections, not just like, oh, what's on special today, barkeep, and then forget about the barkeep. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, this ale's great. Where'd you get it from? Did you make it yourself? Like, what's your name? All that kind of stuff, right? Or make a connection to the location or organization. This is now my favorite tavern. Hope nothing ever happens to it. But that's a connection, and that's something that's a hook for the piece for the DM to bite onto. Right. And that's giving. It's giving and giving. Hit that microphone. I love it. You guys like that? Just giving them what they want.
Wow.
Microphone smashes. But by doing this, not hitting the microphone, but this is all we're talking about, giving, you're going to really dig in and embed your character into the world. And you will love it. You will thank yourself later. Oh. Right? Because now your character has stopped being an idea, and now it's a real person a fake person in a fake place, but it's actually fake there, as opposed to just an idea.
It's really fake there.
Yeah.
Not faking fake there.
Right? As opposed to just imaginary, although it is imaginary. Right? But now it's a collective imagination. Oh. Right? So it's got more authority, not just
collective delusions.
But yeah, now you've got a context for your player, for the other people to play around with, for the DM to play around with. Yeah. And you've got something to go from now. Yeah. And it will, if you've never done it before, I guarantee you it'll change the way that you feel about your character and the way you feel about the campaign.
Nice.
Yeah. So give. I can't stress it enough. You want to give and give and give. Session 1 as much as possible. So if someone else gives you a hook, bite onto it and see where that goes.
What a nice hook. I'm going to add it to my hook collection.
Yeah. Is that a hook or is that a belt buckle? I'm going to bite onto it.
Why not?
See where it goes.
Yeah, I'm going to bite your belt buckle. See if I get it right. Okay. I like that. Finally. Now I got to bite back.
Finally.
Yeah, I would like to call this particular set of ideas in response to what you just said, because I agree with everything that you've just said and I like it.
Okay.
But I would like to call this How to Find Your Inner Angels.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hiding away from your inner demons.
Yeah, hiding. They're just rallying.
Okay. Having tea.
So with everything that we've just talked about and all of the very important things therein, I think that it's extremely important that we all understand that this is
That means you too.
That means you, Mason. That this isn't a race. This is just session 1. So we need to understand that everybody, or if everybody, is trying to set all of these cool hooks and throw hooks into the bartender and the tavern and...
Ow! That hurts! Stop throwing your hooks into me!
No fishing at the bar!
I know, it's called the grassy knoll.
Right, and
come on.
Whoa.
Because it's a shark above it.
Oh, right.
Referencing to past episodes.
Right, yes. I was like, ooh. Presidents do not like
callback.
Yeah, if you're at the grassy knoll and the shark's above the bar and you're inquiring about all this and what's on special today and, how many copper pieces does it cost for that thing over there and what's going on over here? There is a lot of things going on. We can accept that we will be at this tavern again. Maybe we won't.
Right.
Do the important things. Do what you feel is necessary and nice, but get into the groove. Stop trying to sprint through everything. Get a hold of everything. Fire out like you're a Robotech missile mech kind of thing. Yeah, for all of us old school anime fans. right?
Macross.
Chill a little.
Yeah.
Chill a little. Because session 1, there's so much stuff that's attempting to
chill,
be...
Daddy, chill. Chill, Daddy, chill.
There's so much stuff that's getting set. There's so many things happening. There's so much information, raw, important information that's being thrown around, that if everybody is engaging everywhere simultaneously, it can overload the system, especially with newer players, newer DMs, or people who aren't used to cluster Fs. It can
cluster
really...
furbolgs.
Cluster bolgs. That's hilarious. There is, like I said, kind of this cascading exponential amount of things that can be created simultaneously. And you can overwhelm this. You know, in all of the things that I prepped, I forgot to create 5 names for 5 different meads and ciders for this effing tavern. Right? And what's the bartender's name? And what's his wife's name? And that servant girl over there, what's her name? How long has she worked here? And where's her dad? And does she have any farm?
What kind of construction is this tavern built with?
Yeah, is this local oak or is this imported oak? Shut up. It's so much that you might not have been prepared for. And I love it when people are engaged at that level. But understand that takes bandwidth. There is a limit to which we can prep, to which we have foreseen what them crazy mothers are going to do at the table. And please, players, allow some forgiveness in your hearts. If it's not important, allude to it. Make it up yourself, right? Go forward and what's on special today? I heard that them striking mules real good. Why, yes, the striking mule is a fantastic brew. Would you like a pint? Yeah, I want a pint for every... Oh, nope, a pint for everybody except for one. That's not evil, right? Nope, not evil. Okay, great. Let's get a pint for everybody. And then I'll also order a single beer for him, right? And you're like, okay, great. So now we've learned about the characters. We learned, okay, great. But I have now made something and added it to the canon.
Yep.
Because it's a foreseeable and easy thing for it to be added.
Giving.
Right? And it's giving.
Yeah.
And it's also not overwhelming the system.
Yeah.
Right? If, however, DM, you're like, oh no, this is a specific tavern that sells a specific kind of drink or beverage because it has a reason to, it has a need to, then great, push that. Oh no, this is a special berry wine that only grows on our fields on the south side of the slopes of the blah, 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 which are threatened by the, evil goats. Okay, cool. Now we're answering those 5 W's, yes, but we're also not overloading the system by bogging you down in potentially needless color and flavor, right? That quantity versus quality thing again, right? And so everybody at the table is creating a certain amount of chaos.
Yep.
Right? And if for session 1, please, for the love of God, try and lower that chaos. It's kind of a nice ask as you go through, but there's a lot of things that everyone is trying to establish. Everybody's ready to show off their new Ferrari. Everybody wants to jump on the DM bus. Everybody wants to build Mason's building, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on. And as I said before, as the DM, you need to have patience. You need to allot time. Cannot allot enough time sometimes when players are really digging in.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. Players, please dig in. But also please understand that there are other people at the table and that these questions and this is the difficult part, they may or may not have kind of true importance, but it's also not a video game where you run around and you talk to every single person in the tavern.
Every jar.
Right? And you get that ... Oh, this person has nothing more to tell me. No, if you corner that one farmer and you keep talking to him, he's gonna keep talking until he's too scared to
start crying.
and he's gonna start crying. But there's always kind of more that you can push it to because we're not in a video game at this point, right? There is somebody on the other side of the screen, whether they use it or not, who has to now narrate out what's going on and react to this. So, chill, daddy. Chill. And you will have your spotlight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you have your spotlight, please use it. Please feel free to share with us all of the awesome things that you've created and all the awesome things that you've done. But also, this is the time to start writing your notes. Oh, check out or talk about that person's belt buckle.
Yeah.
Talk about this, talk about that, talk about this, talk about that, and add those things to your future notes. I don't need to tackle all of this stuff. I need something to talk about at each of the campfires that we're going to have. And maybe I go, okay, from everybody's introductions, I now have like 50 topics of conversation to go for the next campfire, for the next watches, whoever I'm seated with, right? Like, where'd you get the hilt for that sword? That's mighty amazing, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I don't know. I took it off a dead guy. Oh, you killed the guy for it? No, I took it off of a dead guy. I found him dead. This is his sword, but it's got this weird mark on it. You ever seen it before? Nope. Okay, great. But now you can still talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? And that gives you future conversations that you can dig into those stories over time.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because normally, unless you're running like a one shot or a small campaign or whatnot, where you're not really digging into this stuff, if you're talking like an unlocked kind of long campaign, you've got time to dig into this stuff. Right? And then it's not a barrage of questions. Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? How about this? Why is this cut that way? Why is this purple? What's this?
Yeah.
And the player's just like, whoa, 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 whoa.
It doesn't matter.
No. I know. I just
like
wanted it to be purple because I like the color purple. Right? You can overload players very quickly as well. And then they're not sure what to say, not sure what's, okay for them to do, not okay for them. Just chill down. Right? And so I think that there is a fine line to achieve. Like we talked about that kind of fear and excitement line. It's very difficult to find, but great to have. Same thing happens when we are in this campaign, when we are trying to share, when we are trying to be beautiful and articulate. You can be too beautiful.
Too articulate.
Aphrodite is too beautiful.
Well, the nymphs are too beautiful. You go blind.
You die, or die. Blind is the good option. Shout out to Second Ed. So, and this is why I say find your inner angels, because the virtues of like patience become very important. Understanding, listening. These are all super good things that you need to practice. And maybe we don't do them as much in real life, but we need to allow that space. Right. Just like the DM is plotting, in their timeline for plot, I suppose, and for time for everybody to have their spotlight. It is the first session. You are going to get spotlight time.
Yep.
That is planned. That is for sure. You are going to have your moment to stand on the stage and have the mic and do whatever it is that you want to do. And sometimes we need to kind of wait for that a little bit. Right.
Yep.
And let other people enjoy their place in the light. Right. For that time. So this isn't like super cautionary, but this is the opposite side of what we were talking about. Right? Like it is super awesome to get out there and do things and jump on this and get a hold of that and get going over here and talk about all the cool stuff. But ultimately, if you've been talking about your war medals for the last 15 minutes, that's too much.
Right?
That is too much quantity, regardless of the quality in this one bite. Hey, ask me about any of my medals. I'll tell you a story sometime.
Yeah.
I've got like 100 here, right? Great. That's 100 campfires worth of stories.
Well, I guess just be aware that there are other people that need to do their stuff too.
Absolutely.
DM included.
And so, that's more than ever. You just got to make that room. Right. And really understand that people are there. And I do think, though, for DMs and for players, really try and boil it down to one cool thing.
Believe it.
You're so stupid.
That's the one cool thing that happened in the last hour and 40 minutes.
Right. When we watch movies, there is a hook at the beginning that maybe foreshadows the evil or talks about how the big bad is released or alludes to some of the darkness that the players know, but the characters don't or whatever. Right. Or, all right, guys, everybody comfortable? Good. Everybody brought cool snacks. Oh, yeah. First session, bring snacks. This is a celebration. Do something nice for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Bring an extra awesome snack because everybody's going to be there and everybody's excited. Once. Extra awesome. But, get in there and before the credits start rolling, before the title card of the movie, do one cool thing. Just try and do one cool thing.
Right.
You can fit that in.
Just try. Try, see if you can do
or do not.
One.
There is
cool.
No try. But try and get in there and do one cool. Boom. Roll for initiative. Oh, wow. Okay. How do I be cool in combat? Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm going to do one cool thing, but I know that we got to keep moving because there's a lot of stuff that we got to do. Okay, awesome. Even in a lot of modules, they put you right into the action.
Yeah.
Right. And get you doing stuff and get you kind of building that camaraderie. Attempt, and you will succeed. I'm quite sure if you attempt to do one cool, awesome thing instead of 10 pretty cool things.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You know, like I said before, you are the most confident about your character at the beginning of the campaign and at the very end of the campaign in your knowledge of what's going on. So in that knowledge, starting the campaign, try and do one cool thing, and then you don't overload the system.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Do write your notes. Do pay attention. Do lean in. Do talk to them. Every time you see somebody throw out a hook, note the hook. Take the hook. Maybe don't act on the hook immediately. Right? Prepare yourself for a lot of fun.
Yep. Yeah.
Don't
it's so fun.
hog it all and friggin' OD on it right then and there, because it's too much for everybody to enjoy, and you will OD on it. And that's kind of doing that hogging BBG thing that we talked about, right? Where you're just like, no, I want to know more. I want to know more. I want to know more. Like the path to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes.
So that can happen.
Among other things.
Skulls. And love.
Sin.
Ooh. This is one of them Sinstone roads. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I built my roads with
Cobblestone.
sheep.
Yeah.
Shout out to Catan.
Catan.
But yeah, so that would be kind of my cautionary tale. That's the opposite perspective of a lot of the things that we talked about. You are cool. What you have is awesome. Trust the system. Relax. We'll get to all your cool stuff. Throw out those hooks. But understand and please appreciate that we have time to get through it all.
Yeah.
Right? And really that's going to start building that kind of like trust betrayal circle. And continue on the trust side, the good side of what's going on, because everybody's throwing out stuff and you go, okay, I'm going to write down all the cool stuff for each character. I'm going to pick one of each to talk about this session. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Any more, and I might overload the system or I might slow down. We might not achieve as much, blah, 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 just for this episode where we're trying to get some stuff going. Later on, you're out in the wilds, so go at it, right? And that will continue to fuel more of your RP and more of your exploration and more of your combat. Awesome. Great. But don't floor it off the line.
Yeah. Get a feel for it and then...
Get a feel for it. And also, like we said, you're trying out a whole bunch of stuff. So if you're trying out stuff and then you get a bunch of information from somebody and then they decide to change it because it doesn't feel right, then, you haven't wasted the time, but it wasn't as productive as it should have been.
Don't believe
it. That's a great way to end that. Super awesome. But yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think it's fair to say, like, just don't come at it necessarily.
No, I like it. I like it. The one cool thing. Like if you could do one cool thing, I think it would be to click on the like and subscribe button.
Oh, wow. 3 calls to action today.
Well, it's been a long episode. So if you have listened to this long, you might as well take the next step and do that cool thing if you haven't already. Like and subscribe. And if you want to like and subscribe more, then go to the other episodes. like those ones too. Yeah, and I think
right? Take some initiative. Be proactive.
Proactive. Giving. Give
us likes. That's really selfish. No, jump in the comments and let us know, like, what was the what is your XYZA statement?
And you know what I want to know?
What do you want to know, Sean?
You let us know if that one sentence dictionary definition works for your campaign as a DM. Can you do that for your campaign and have that with you on your session 1?
It absolutely can.
Yeah.
Absolutely can.
That'd be interesting. I would like to see those ones. Yeah.
Show us your dirty laundry.
Show us your move.
Falco lore. Hey, thank you for sticking around with us for so long. Yeah. We do really appreciate it. This one was surprisingly verbose.
I know.
Surprisingly,
I didn't think it'd be this long.
Information turgid.
Yeah. Well, I like that word.
Information.
Turgid.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect that it was going to be like this, but in contemplation, after doing it, he really is.
Yeah.
He really is super.
It's super important.
There's a lot of stuff going on to set you in the right direction.
I didn't even realize it was this important. And there's this much stuff to go into it until we started talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully you're going to have a great time in the next campaign that you're about to play in. And maybe that might be with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Shout out to DM. Shout out to DM. Send a DM. Get an RDM.
Shout out to DM. Yeah.
Give some DMs. And maybe we'll be playing together.
Yeah,
but until next time, I was Byron.
I'm Sean.
And we are Caffeine and Cantrips. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Or else.
What'd you roll?
10.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. It's really hard to read these dice.
Well, it's tarnished. You maidenless tarnished.